The Grey Man Podcast is a veteran-run platform dedicated to sharing authentic experiences from current and former service members. These stories are shared to foster connection, understanding, and support within the veteran community. Episodes may contain raw, emotionally charged content that some listeners may find distressing. Listener discretion is advised. The views and opinions expressed by guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect those of the Grey Man Podcast, its host, or affiliated partners. The Grey Man Podcast assumes no liability for any statements, opinions, or representations made by guests during interviews or discussions. G'day team, welcome to another episode of the Grey Man Podcast. I'm your host, Harley Fox. Today on the show, I'm joined by a man who has walked the hard road and come back with a mission to serve others. Luke Stewart is a former cavalryman who enlisted in 2010. He trained at Kapuka and Puckapunyal and then deployed to Malaysia and Iraq before discharging in 2019. But his story didn't end when the uniform came off. Luke is the founder of Coastal Veterans, which is a grassroots initiative helping veterans reconnect with purpose, community, and the healing power of the ocean. From surf therapy to breath work and trauma recovery, both for veterans and teens, Luke's work is all about transformation and not just surviving but thriving. In this episode, we're going to dive into the journey that he has had through PTSD and addiction, the birth of Coastal Veterans, and what it really takes to rebuild a life of meaning after service. This one's raw, real, and full of heart. Thanks for being here, guys. Thanks for listening. Don't forget, hit subscribe on whatever it is you're listening to. Hope you enjoy the show. Cheers. And I can't forget, Luke gave me a gift to help me with my editing process. Some nice stress balls. Thanks, Luke. Cheers, guys.
Look at that. Nice caramel voice.
Soothing sounds of like you could do one of those meditation apps.
Step one, we're going to move our breath awareness. That's what I do on the retreat.
That's perfect, bro. I'd pay for that.
Become aware of our body. What's under our body, the ground around us.
Breathe in. Just focus on the sound of my voice.
Breathe out. Releasing the tension from the day. Letting it all slide away.
Fuck. Cool, man. Fucking welcome. Thanks for being here.
No problem at all. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
No worries. Obviously we've been talking about all the stuff you've been getting up to, but we'll get into that later. As we do in everyone's pod, just talk about the journey of your life and what led you to the military, and then and what it was like, and then what you've been doing since. So just starting at the beginning. Where are you from? Where were you born? Where did you grow up?
I grew up, so I was born in Lismore, Lismore Base Hospital. It's kind of known for the big floods that happened in there a while ago, 2022, big floods, 30 metres. I was involved in
floods
that.
Floods and truck rollovers and stuff?
Yeah, all sorts of different things. It's also known for a big drug culture, but that's a chapter for another day. I was born in there in 1992, so December baby, 23rd of December. I was born right before Christmas, so... Grew up around the Lismore, Austinville area. Austinville is not much of a famous town. It's 75% of the population live there are over the age of 60, so it's kind of just old people and young kids are kind of kicking about. So trying to live in harmony together and doesn't really work, because young people don't like old people and vice versa, vice versa. So I grew up around the farms and it's like a coastal sort of town situated back about 20 k's, in farmlands and like really beautiful, prosperous areas. So I went to like a little rural school, and I grew up with just me and my mum. So it was just mum was a single parent. Dad wasn't around when I was younger. He kind of, he seen a better surf break and he kept on moving. That was just the journey that he had at the time, and I don't hate him for it. It is what it is. We're ready to deal with what we are.
Is that legitimate, the surf? He was a surfer? Or? Yeah,
he was a surfer, and he's got a long history of different kids and
free spirit.
Free spirit, yeah. So I kind of inherited that from him, and it's been good. I've kind of get to know him a little bit better. So, get rid of those childish resentments and kind of move on. But it was just me and mum when we were growing up. Probably what are my first memories? Probably ripe age of 3 or 4. Growing up in a really big. What is it called? It's not a Queenslander, but it was a Federation house with about 6 rooms. So we lived in a really nice area. Went to a really nice school.
Yeah, right. What'd your mum do?
My mum was a fashion designer. She ran 3 businesses at once when I was a kid. So she ran 3 different fashion outlets in the space of a 30-kilometre radius. So she was a very busy woman, very organised and very well run. But we were kind of just always on the road, like driving up to Gold Coast to get dresses and stuff like that. So I was always on the move as a kid. I had my little Game Boy playing Pokemon games on my phone, you know, trying to catch Charizard. It's never really eventuating for me. Just couldn't get it done, you know. Just the pressure every time, that little health bar, and I just get, you know, knocked out. But yeah, that was the journey of my childhood. Was very much, I was sort of a kid with ADHD. I didn't get diagnosed till later in life, so I was always kind of looking for thrills, climbing trees and doing fun stuff on bikes, and just kind of causing a little bit of havoc and stress for my mum. You know, she couldn't have it all easy, you know. It's running 3 businesses. You needed to be worried about your kid, what he's doing, jumping off the roof in the pool, doing dangerous stuff like that, putting his life at risk. But yeah, that was the nature of my childhood. It was very wholesome. I didn't have too many challenges, you know. It was a little bit, you know, there was some stories around alcohol and some rough nights for me as a child when I was growing up. But all in all, you know, my childhood I was very lucky. I got to travel with my mum to Bali, Indonesia, Thailand. I got to understand Eastern culture at a young age. And I think that really, I think Eastern culture, like you probably know from your background in Muay Thai, is just like, it's really the Wu way of just like leaving everything as it is and having that as a baseline for understanding as a kid, like being introduced to this is Buddhism, this is how we interact. And I was about the age of 6 or 7, going in these Thai monasteries and big Buddhist stuff, giving offerings. Just learning that at a young age, I think it really helped me understand people, understanding different walks of life. Like, this is what a third world country is. You're like, these people are, you know, it gave me a sense of gratitude. Like, these people are really living quite tough compared to what I've got at home, you know. I've got my cool racing car bed and these kids are living on the street, you know, eating dinner with the rats. So it's like, yeah, it was a lot of appreciation that my mother gave me through the gift of being able to travel at a young age. Did Disneyland when I was 10 years old, so all of kind of fun stuff, really. Toy Story Hotel, I stayed there. That was fucking tremendous. I would probably, if that place is still standing, I'd probably go back there today. But
I think they moved on from Toy Story. But
yeah.
Yeah, the Thai culture.
Not me.
Still got Woody at the end of your bed.
Yeah, that's right. Still got one of my daughters, Woody. She's probably too old for Woody, but I probably kept it for the wrong reason.
Don't throw it out.
Yeah, keep that. Talk to him when nobody's looking, you know.
Yeah, no, it's so true about the Eastern cultures, dude. Like, just the appreciation and love and respect they all have for each other, and just the inner peace and happiness they find with so little is, like, such a, like, something we should all strive for, you know. Like, we have so much, and we're all fucking miserable.
Like, so much, you know. We have, like, put one person in a typical Western house, we have as much as somebody would, like, it would 6 family members, everyone working to accumulate the same amount of shit that we have in the Western society, and we're not happy and they're happy. What's going on here? What is a cultural issue, right?
We're miserable.
Yeah, that's correct.
It's never enough, more.
Yeah, that's right. The devourer, the nature of the devourer, they talk about that in Eastern studies as well, you know, like having this insatiated hunger for more of everything in life, you know, so we've got to learn how to tame that beast. And Eastern philosophies, when you come out of the service and the military as well, I think super good to get in touch with that, because it kind of brings you back into being, you know, in gratitude, the attitude, and kind of figuring out how to be still. I think is super important. But
I love the sort of welcome and kindness of it all too. Like, my coaches are Thai at my gym. And just like, you know, you fucking hugs every time you walk in, and fucking hugs when you leave.
Yeah.
And,
in my one as well. So I did a bit of Muay Thai as well. We would always kind of, you know, give prayer to each other and thank everyone in the gym, like every person that made it happen, you know, after we left every time. And I think, you know, just acknowledging people is just like, there's so much to be said by having the kindness to be able to acknowledge another human being, you know, even if they're not doing as a bigger role as you know, everybody has their role. Yeah.
Cool, man. So what was the sort of progression from hanging out with mum in Lismore to?
Yeah, I started Taekwondo at a young age, that kind of philosophy, I think at the age of probably 10 or 11 or 12. So there's no major issues or traumatic events, probably up till the age of 15, 16, you know. And then, there was definitely just kind of a normal rhythm of life and very stable upbringing from my mum. She did a really good job. So I'm really proud to say that I had a strong mum that was able to come and that's something I've had to be grateful for, because for a long period, I think we kind of resent our parents, and we get to a stage of like, when we become parents, we're like, oh yeah, this is way harder than it looks. And we get to learn that gratitude for our parents and what they went through, so that we could now have the lives we have with their grandkids, So I think no major struggles as far as my teenage years. I struggled at school. I didn't like being told what to do. I didn't like authoritarian sort of, I went to a Catholic school, so it was very strict, and they wouldn't let me talk. ADHD, I couldn't sit in my chair still, so I had to keep moving around. And, it was, every report card was the same report card, on repeat. It was like, Luke has great potential, but potentially, he had the same report card, huh? They did the same. Consistently interrupts others, himself, and distracts from class contact from himself and others. Like, there it is, year 7, 8, there's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, same report card, And I think a lot of people that are driven towards service-related jobs or service-related industries, we in the military or defence, kind of have that report card, They're kind of looking for the adventure in life. They're not looking for maths tests and boring kind of shitty things where we sit down. They're looking for the, building forts and throwing rocks at each other and having fun, At least I was, I can't speak for everyone else. But yeah, no major issues. Like, I'm trying to think of, my childhood was pretty insignificant. I just had the challenges of not having a dad. I was bullied kind of like everyone. I feel like everyone gets bullied at high school. That's just the nature of,
I don't think the bullies get bullied.
Yeah, well, that comes later in life. I think God humbles and smacks your ass a bit, Every person that bullied me in high school, I look at their life now and I'm like, well, it kind of caught up with you, that behavior, didn't it? Because my life's kind of sailing in a direction, and I can be, honestly appreciative of, and I kind of see there's people who are just negative all the time. Their life is bearing the same fruit of negativity and sadness, and just kind of, it didn't go anywhere.
It's usually the, hurt people.
That's right, man.
I remember our biggest bully in school, I think it was fucking grade 12, he ended up fucking killing himself.
Yeah, see? And that's not...
Turns out his dad used to fucking beat him.
It's just learning behaviour, and it's just getting passed down in generational curses, that we're going to stand up and break and be better people, I think in the Eastern philosophy for that is really good. But yeah, I think having martial arts as like having discipline as a background, having restraint as a child, like Taekwondo is like, they call it the hard art, because everything you practice is like hard and sharp. Like when you're doing your katas, you're trying to make things hurt and be quite physical. It's a little bit different in Muay Thai, but it definitely helped me with my kicks and stuff. You can see Joe Rogan's got a really potent leg kick, and his initial background was from Taekwondo, because he's just practicing that kick and the form of that kick and learning how to generate as much power possible. That's what Taekwondo does. And through that process, at a young age, you're like, oh, I'm quite powerful. So you learn that you need to have restraint in the way that you're doing things.
There's two different fucking types of Taekwondo, right? There's like the old style hardcore fucking...
I think.
I'm not too sure what the names of them are. But even like just in modern culture, there's like the ones at school halls now that are just fucking gammon. And then there's
the Olympic style.
Yeah.
Tic-tac-toe, yeah.
And then there's the ones that's like hardcore fucking like Joe Rogan and one of my other mates is a black belt and he's a fucking weapon.
Yeah. Like you think they're shit. Like I used to do it to my, shout out to Coops, one of my friends that was X3R. He's like big red-headed guy. He's like 6'2", 6'3", really good at Taekwondo, but like he's just like a big redhead and you're like, I'm going to smash this guy. And he just would have, like he could comfortably spar 3 or 4 people at a time, like just comfortably like moving out of the way. And we're like I was trying to knock his head off and I couldn't get near him. You know, I was young. He was like my Taekwondo instructor when I was like 21. So I was just coming up. I was just a young grasshopper and I'm just trying to like tag him with one shot. I couldn't hit him with one shot, you know, like, and that's the difference because I'm like, oh, you know, and a lot of people think that like because they see the Olympic Taekwondo that these guys are just kind of, and that is kind of the weaker style of Taekwondo martial arts is kind of like tip-tap to sparring and it's just for points and you're just trying to quickly land a shot and, you know, go back to your next step. You're just playing chess really. It's not about the other hard style which is Taekwondo, which is kind of founded by Koreans and that Japanese sort of background and is like very strong and it's coming from like strong martial artists and strong people and the katas are really strong. And I think doing anything in a repetitive process at a young age develops different brain chemicals. So doing katas and stuff like that are difficult, like wrong, start again. I think that it develops rigidity, or it develops as a psyche in a more healthy way than a kid that wouldn't do it. You know, I'd really like my daughter to get into martial arts, but she's a little bit more of a fairy, so respect that ballerina.
My daughter is the world's biggest fucking princess.
Yeah.
But I've made her do some kind of martial arts. I was like, I don't care what it is, but you have to do something.
Yes.
So she started like when she was 3 doing a thing called like Little Warriors.
Yeah.
Basically they just
hip pads.
Yeah, hit pads and play with big fucking Swiss balls and hit them with like foam rollers and stuff. And then she sort of progressed from that to jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I think it's a good one.
She fucking hated that.
Yeah.
Just hated that physical contact.
Just wearing you down. Someone on top of you just like sweating on you.
Oh yeah, it's gross.
It's gross. Like, what a build, you know?
And then she went from that back to Japanese jiu-jitsu, which was more of the stand-up, fucking someone grabs you, kick them in the balls, fucking all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And then and now Muay Thai. She's on Muay Thai for about
beautiful.
3.5
I can't wait
years
till my
now.
daughter puts the Muay Thai shorts on. I'm like, yes, you just made me so proud.
Yeah.
You did it.
Actually, I got a video of her on Wednesday afternoon. I was going to post. I'll check it up. It's just seeing the progression like from 3.5 years ago. Because I got like one of those memories come up, and I was at the gym and I was like, oh fuck, I should take another video so I can compare the where she's now. Because she feels like she's stagnant, right? Because she just goes every day.
She's just working, grinding. You know, it's just, I'm getting nowhere here, just on the bag. Like, oh god, this sucks.
And fucking my coach Nung, like watching him fucking train her, like he hits her hard, like throws big knees at her, and fucking, I'm like, fucking Nung hits you hard, like. She's like, yeah, he does hit me hard. I'm like, yeah, that's making me tougher.
Having that those role models at a young age, I think is so super important, especially ones that are going to push you in a physical standing. You know, so I was lucky to kind of have the background in that. I wasn't really good at anything. I wasn't good at swimming. I wasn't good at athletics. I've just had a rounded background in all things. So I was like, I wasn't really one of the pro rugby players, but I was just so well rounded. I was very athletic as a kid, you know, and that kind of
jack of many trades.
Yeah, master of none. You know, but that took me in. And I wasn't really intellectually too over the top or anything. But I was a smart kid, you know. I just didn't live up to my potential, which whatever that was, you know. My potential was I wanted to join the military, and I knew that from a young age. I knew that from like 14, 15. I'm like, fuck this, reading books and this shit.
What sparked the idea?
I think my ancestors were rats at Tobruk, so I kind of would go down to my grandmother's house down in Willoughby in Sydney. I don't know if you know the area. It's there. Yeah, it's just like northeastern suburbs of Sydney, I think. And I would see the pictures of my cousins on the wall, and they were a little bit older than me. They were probably 21 when I was about 15. I saw one of my photos of my cousin being in the French Foreign Legion and the other one being a commando. And Greg Lynham, he actually got shot in Afghanistan. He's like quite a decorated soldier. So I had all these decorated soldiers, and then I would go back a couple generations to World War II, and they were all rats at Tobruk. So 5 left home and none came back. So that's how hardcore and heavy they were. So I think that was, for me, I could see the pride and the joy that it brought my family having guys that had served, the honor and respect, you know. And I was like, I want people to look at me and appreciate me like that. Like, I don't want to be worshipped, but I want to be appreciated for what I did for the country. And I think that kind of drove me. And I was like, And that I had this very strong drive to be useful like that and be really strong and have that masculine sense. You know, you could just, when you were a young fella and you'd meet someone in the military or they'd come into the room. And I'm like, oof, that guy's... he's got something about him, and I wanted a piece of whatever that was. And I think it's kind of undescribable. It's like the discipline, the strength, those key values, you know, those masculine values that we need to really hammer into our young kids. We're really struggling with the youth they're not looking for that, man. They're looking for SJ culture, and it's really sad that guys are looking up to criminals as their, you know, what do you see in that guy? You know, like it's kind of like, you know, I'm not the biggest fan of Andrew Tate, but it's kind of like that small, like what a 12-year-old would think masculinity represents and looks like. It's like kind of devouring everything and like more women, more money, more power, more influence. Is like, can you just be humble and just be quiet and not need to be the biggest, loudest man in the room? Because you tend to be the weakest when you act like that, you know? I think martial arts can either build our ego, like crush it, or make it so big that, you know, we're kind of unbearable in the room. And I've kind of met those personality types, like moving through my martial arts journey throughout, you know, being younger and moving into an older, sort of wiser, quieter version of myself. So, I don't know if you got, like, I don't know if you have essays in the gym that you train at, but I find they're really unique kids to work with. You know, they've got a lot of emotional issues, and they usually come from a bad background, you know, those kids. But I think we need to develop, you know, strong masculine men, like ex-military kind of guys that are representatives in our community to kind of look out for those kids. And in community-led programs, I think it's a really good way to restructure military and ex-service personnel into those roles to kind of help with the community issue, you know, like to give back to the community, continue to serve after our time in service. But that's just what I've kind of seen, and it's missing that kind of, you know, the digger kind of strong guy. Sorry, I'm just pointing to a statue for anyone that can't see, of like, yeah, just like a digger that's just kind of gallantly standing there in that stoic kind of, you know, presentation, which we need so much in society right now. We're really struggling with how to look after masculine men, and I think a lot of guys are misrepresented what masculine values are, and everything's becoming toxic masculinity, and I don't really think it's healthy. I talk about this quite a lot on my Coastal Veterans page. Is like, what is a healthy masculine? If you can tell me what a toxic masculine is, can you tell me what a healthy one is? And I bet you most of the people that are harping on about toxic masculinity, they can't tell you what a healthy masculine man should look like and represent. They're too busy and too worried about making noise to actually show you the other polarity of what a healthy masculine man should look like and should reflect.
Yeah, 100%.
I think we've got a poor image given to us by society, and we need to kind of rip that back and say, hey, this is what a healthy man does, and this is, you know, what a restrained, strong man does in his life, and this is how he builds values and, you know, builds up his society. So
yeah, it's so convoluted, and just the fucking uptick of social media taking over the world, and
everyone's got a voice.
Just the echo chamber, right?
Yeah, the echo chamber. That's it, dude.
Everyone's
of
just
nonsense,
feeding their biases.
Yeah, and that's what we got to watch, the confirmation biases, and that's what happens when you get exposed to an algorithm. What's an algorithm? It's something that's communicating with it, that's confirming our biases. So what do I believe is, like, if I've got a feminist view, my algorithm's going to feed me things from a feministic nature that are going to drive my thinking to do certain things. So we've got to be very careful with the way that we engage with social media and how it can drive us to, you know, same with toxic masculinity. If we have an algorithm that's driven on humiliating women and, you know, it's going to drive us in that way, you know. So we've got to be so careful with what we're engaging in.
Yeah, 100%. If you see it all day, every day, you think it's normal, right? You think, oh, this is what everybody does.
Yeah.
That's what my fucking social media
It's just what my phone does to corrupt my thinking.
If you fucking search puppies all day, then fucking your whole feed will be puppies.
Yeah. Maybe I should start doing that. Use some puppies in my feed. It's a bit doom and gloom, you know.
Yeah, mine's fucking 99.9% military stuff.
Yeah, doom and gloom. But it would, real shit, you know, the real stuff. But yeah, I think my childhood was good, man. I think I had a lot of good role models, you know, and I'm starting to see as I got older that I was really protected from a lot of harm at a young age, you know. And I think, yeah, I'm learning to be grateful for what I was given, you know, instead of looking at the glass half empty and being negative about what happened in my childhood. I'm reaching a point in my healing journey where I'm just appreciating that I could go through all of that, good, bad, and otherwise, you know.
So what, did you have any jobs and stuff in between fucking?
Macca's and Eagle Boys when I was a young boy.
Oh, yeah, fast food man.
Yeah, I could prep you know, and I think that's a good job, you know, that teaches you to save and it teaches you those values. I saved up for my first car, which ended up being a little piece of shit. I can't even remember. It wasn't a Suzuki Swift, but it was something similar. It was a Mitsubishi Charade. I think no Daihatsu was Charade. And it was a stolen vehicle. I had to return it. The first car I bought, I had to return because it was stolen.
That's why it was so cheap.
Yeah, well, it was. I was like, yeah, he's trying to clean it. Yeah, Mum's like, your car's been stolen from somewhere. You need to return it. And I'm like, you know.
Did they give you money back?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
So I don't know how it all happened, but it all got sorted out. But yeah, learning to learning to work towards something and having, it's just the values I was driven into me at a young age from my mum was like, you need to go get a job and be useful, make yourself useful in the world. And if you want stuff, nobody's going to give it to you. So you're going to have to go out there and work for it. So that's what I did.
Yeah,
I
nice.
worked at Macca's, trying to tune the girls. They never interested me at all. I just kind of, the hopeless burger chef, at the back, sweating over the grill, like not the most attractive look. Smell like 10-to-1 meat, kind of stinky, rubbery smells with the guy, Other than that, I was in the, being the dishy, so it wasn't, and I think there's a lot of character developed at a young age, and a lot of the issues that we're having with kids can just be worked out of them. We're not working enough as a society, and young kids aren't working enough. They're distracted, just sucked into social media, and they're fucking.
We've taken it the full spectrum the other way, right? We've gone from like we had to work and gain resilience and and work for everything we've got, and we don't want our kids to have that hard life, so we're giving them everything, let them live at home till they're fucking 30, not making them get a job, paying for their uni degree, buying their first car. It's like, what are we fucking teaching them?
We've got to come back to like, what's the most useful way to teach them,
Yeah. And if you think about, it's been said on 1,000 podcasts, but if you fucking think about like the most interesting and fucking like kind-hearted people with the best stories and the most resilience and fucking everything good about them are the ones that come from the toughest sort of upbringings, right?
Yeah, their values are driven in.
Yeah.
That fighting spirit.
The ones that have been fucking fed us with a silver spoon are just pieces of shit. Yeah. So it's like, but we're trying to...
Collared shirt wearing fucking Balenciaga. I can't even say it, Balenciaga. Fuck it, you don't know what I'm trying to say, All the Ralph Polo brands, it's like at a young age, in a Sydney kind of vibes, it's just like, you can see on somebody's face if they've worked for something or they've been fed the silver spoon their entire life,
Yeah, exactly. And for whatever fucking reason, we're trying to do it. We're trying to give our kids that life when we know that produces the worst adults.
Yeah, so it's definitely in our best interest to kind of be firm with our kids. So I think I can be grateful.
Martial arts, give them some fucking adversity, give them some toughness.
Some head kicks. Oi.
Oi.
But yeah, I wish I had Muay Thai. I mean, like such a good thing. I need to get back into Muay Thai. I think I got to find a good gym down in Gold Coast. But you and I talked privately before this podcast about the usefulness of Muay Thai. And I think overcoming PTSD or just engaging with mental health, it just like gets you. There's something about the getting your heart rate to such a high, and being so engaged in something that just makes you completely present and all your issues kind of find a way.
Yeah.
I wish I had that in my childhood because I was kind of a nervous kid, a little bit shy and overwhelmed by the weight of the world, It would have given me a bit more confidence than just the taekwondo, So.
I wish I had fucking started when I was a kid as well. I didn't start until I was an adult. But the mindfulness of all those things like jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai, especially the two big ones, like you can't think about anything else if there's somebody fucking attacking you.
Trying to kill you, right?
Yeah. You're fucking in it. You're there. You're watching every part of their body. You're fucking focusing on the nuances of their movement, ready for fucking whatever's coming at you. And that's mindfulness, right? You're there. You're present. You're not thinking
engaged,
about. You're not thinking about your traumas or your ex-girlfriend or wife or whatever's going on.
Yeah. You're completely engaged. And I think that's what military or Navy and Air Force service give us, the complete engagement, which when the people get out, they lose that, man, and they don't know where to turn, So I think anything to keep you present will definitely help keep those fucking things at bay.
I was talking about this with Jesse the other day. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. Just the coddling of the veteran, like, don't wrap us in fucking cotton wool. Yeah. We need hardship. We need to fucking...
adversity.
Yeah. That's what we
to overcome, to strive in.
Yeah. So more programs like veterans grappling and fucking veteran MMA and all the rest of
Heaps. I wanted to talk about this today. I was thinking about it when I come over. So, yeah, I think 2019, I think when I got out of the army, it might have been 2016, there was a program released by the Australian government that they saw an issue within DVA and the veteran system that was like, we aren't having engagement of a healthy nature of these guys. I think it's when they started to notice the statistics of suicide rates starting to go up. So they implemented they tried to implement $52 million in the space of 5 years to be invested into engagement activities for the Air Force, Army, and Navy ex-surface personnel to be engaged in some sort of community engagement or something that's like a martial arts background. You know how much they spent in 5 years? In 5 years? I think it was 10 years. Might even been 10 years.
1 million.
Exactly.
Really?
Yeah, you got it. They spent 1 million. So 51.
I was like, I haven't heard anything, so fucking not much.
Yeah, so 1 million. They spent $1 million. They invested into it, and then they said this doesn't work. But they didn't really. What needs to happen? I think a lot of ex-service personnel that in the industry, you need to go where, follow the trails where veterans are heading. It's like veterans grappling, like mates for mates. Where are these guys heading to? And then you start streamlining the money into those activities that are giving engagement, they're giving something, they're giving reprieve from the mental health cycle of, well, you're going to be back here next Thursday, we're going to talk about your PTSD and you come get your pills. It's like, no wonder they don't break free of that, because you practice what you preach, right? So like whatever you practice, you get good at. So if you want to go down and get a Band-Aid every Thursday, that's what they're going to give you, and that's the way your mind's going to program. So we've got to be really careful with what we're programming our mind to be, is that I'm sick, I'm unwell. And this is something I talk quite a lot about and I'm quite firm and strong about. Yep. We do have PTSD. I've struggled with PTSD. I've struggled with anxiety. I've struggled with depression. I understand it. I'm not here to take that away from anyone. But what I will say is what you feed gets stronger. So if you want to keep feeding the story that you're not well, if you want to feed a story that I'm not where I want to be, but through using my martial arts, my practice and my mindfulness and my meditation, my yoga, I can get somewhere better than I am now. Right now I'm in the pit. I'm in a 6-foot hole in the rain and the shit, but I want to get out of it. So we got to set principles and have discipline in our life to move out of the shitty thought programs where we're stuck at home. A lot of the cotton wooling you're talking about is we're given a service pension, we're left at home, and the mind rings around itself, telling us all sorts of things. It's like, like even in biblical texts, we're taught not to follow the thoughts because, they're fed by powers that be that like aren't healthy for our development. Don't follow your thoughts. Not every thought you have is true. When we're in service personnel jobs, we use our mind to get out of complex issues. So we think everything that comes out of our mind is gospel, like it's the truth, So when it's like, oh, I don't think I'm going to get better from my PTSD until next year. Like, yeah, because you're making a plan to do that. If you know what I mean? So like, it's about reprogramming. It's about understanding where we're at and constantly being present, not really buying into the mind, the knee's a bit sore. You're like, yeah, it may be sore, but what are you doing with it? You're going to go get a scan, get it checked out, see if there's anything there, or if it's something you've just been doing every Tuesday for the last 10 years. It's telling you your right-hand side of your knee is sore. It's like, yeah, we can honor our injuries. We can honor our PTSD. We can honor our anxiety. But we've got to make a plan to get out of it, because you could be there for years.
Yeah,
20 years will go past and you're like, I'm fucking still waiting for my knee claim and my knee's still hurting. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we've got to grow out of that victim mentality, dude.
I as a rehab clinician with the services for the last 6 or 7 years, I preach it constantly. Like the more you tell your story and do nothing about it, you go to the GP, you go to the specialist, or you go to the psychiatrist, psychologist, and you just repeat your story. This is what's wrong. And then you change clinician, you have to tell it again. Yeah. You have to tell DVA so you can get your money. You have to tell you, and then you're telling your family, and then you're just repeating the negative, like this is wrong with me, this hurts. This
negative feedback loop.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it becomes, you start to believe it, right? The more you say it, the more you believe it, and it becomes who you are. Like I'm this guy. I'm an injured veteran. Yeah. At the end of the day, I'm an injured veteran, and then you start to introduce yourself to people.
Yeah.
Hey.
I used to be in the army, and now I'm
yeah,
that's my identity.
Who are you?
How did that happen?
I'm a veteran. I've got a few injuries now. You're an injured veteran. Fuck off. Like the more you say it, and the more it becomes reality, and then the harder it becomes to break out of it.
Yeah, so we need to be discerning about our thoughts.
Cut that out immediately. Yeah, sure, you've got some fucking injuries, but you can rehab them. You can do what you can. You can't. Okay, you used to be a downhill skier. You love the fucking mountains. You love the outdoors. What is it about the outdoors you loved? I love the smells and the sights and the sounds and the feeling of fucking being on that mountain. All right, your fucking knees are blown out. Now you can't go on those hectic fucking downhill runs, but you can still get up in the fucking mountains, go for a hike, get out there. You've still got the sights, the smells, the sounds. You just don't have that fucking adrenaline rush of fucking cruising down. But
and I think that's where the addiction creeps in, because idle hands make the devil's work, right? So like you get that all that time. And I think that's where the after hours drinking and, you know, the drugs like marijuana kind of creep in, because it's just idle hands. We don't have enough hours of the day to fill up with time because we've prescribed it. I need to take this drink. I need to take this pill. I need to do this because I'm broken. I'm a broken veteran. That's my story, you know, and that's, it's like, that's how we get in a lot of trouble. So, you know, I like to help people with those, definitely with those programs, you know.
Yeah. And the doctors don't help, right? They're too...
They're making a bit of money off it.
Too fucking... Yeah, well, they make money off the prescriptions, yeah, but they're cautious and...
fearful.
Fearful. What do you call it? Like risk adverse. So they'll be like, you know, you've got these injuries, so don't do anything, you know, just, you know, take this prescribed weed or whatever and just relax.
I really relax, man. No worries, man. Everything gonna be all right, man.
Well, the doctor told me to, so
yeah,
that's
the
what I'll do.
doctor told me it's good. It's a good ganja from the good doctor, man. Heal my sore knee, aye.
And medical grade.
Yeah, well, that's strong shit, man, what they're giving veterans. So, I wouldn't go near it, you know, like, I'd be in some paranoid loops myself, you know, trying to look up who shot, you know, Charlie Kirk for fucking 10 hours. I've got other things to do in my day, you know.
Anyway, going back, fucking, what age were you when you decided to sign the line?
Here we go. We're getting into the nitty gritty. Yeah, I joined up at 16 and a half. I signed up to join, and then I was like doing my paperwork, my U date by the age of 17. So I went in as a little whippersnapper. You know, there was nothing overly important before joining up the services. You know, there was just kind of this sad little desperate Luke trying to make himself strong for the army. You know, I trained a lot of hours on the treadmill and did a lot of deadlifts and that, but I didn't practice no upper body before I went in the military, so I was really not ready for what was to come, you know. Like the onslaught of the upper bulk PT, you know.
Bulk push-ups and fucking pack marching.
Yeah, I didn't practice for the pack marches or the push-ups, you know, but just kind of a grasshopper with no upper body. I was kind of like a little T-Rex. I was kind of quick, but yeah, so joined up at 17, had my U date up here. I forget what street it's on now. What street? Doesn't matter, does it? Elizabeth Street or something like that. I had my U session. And yeah, I kind of realized I was really young. The lady said to me, you know, I was like I love the adversity challenges. The psychologist said, I think you're way too young to be joining this, but I'm going to sign you up anyway. And I was like, I'll prove you wrong, bitch, you know. And I kind of went into it with that attitude of like trying to prove something, which, you know, was probably good at my age because I needed to get off my laurels a bit. I was just like sitting at home, letting mum do all the work, just kind of chilling under, you know, the comfortable blanket that she provided for my life, you know. So I didn't have my dad growing up. I had some really good male role models, but I didn't have that really strong masculine energy pushing me to strive. Come on, let's go, like driving me. And I knew I needed it. I knew it was like a character flaw that I had, that I was kind of weak and averse to challenges, you know, and I needed to build some strength and rigidity.
What was the transition like of going from mummy's blanket to fucking getting blasted in the hallways?
Horrific, man. I was going to share this a bit, not a bit of explicit story, but I remember being like real young, and we got like, I think it was like one of the second or third night in staying at Hotel Kapuka. We were in the demountables, so there was 12 to a room, you know, so not just 6. It's usually typically only 6 guys to a room in Kapuka. This was 12 because it was demountable blocks and they had to jam everyone in. So it was just like utter chaos, you know, and people trying to get their toiletry bags rolled up in their little towel, all the stupid things you have to do just to complete your shaving or going to the bathroom. I remember doing that and like running. I finally got my towel right because I was so young, I couldn't just do basic things. It's like I hadn't developed hand-eye coordination properly at the age of 17. Things would fly out every time I ran. And like, my toothbrush. Yeah, you're a shit fighter. Look at this guy. Running down the hallway, my toothbrush kind of flies out and I'm like, stop! Oh, here we go. Like I already know what happened. I saw it fly off, but now because I've been told to stop, and now I'm going to have to go through a process where he says, what is wrong with you? And then, you know, I've lost my toothbrush, Corporal. Can I please pick it up? And then, he like looks at him, he goes, "That's not your only problem." And I was like, looked down, I was like, what else is good? And I looked down and my penis was hanging out of my pajama shorts. So he's like, I started like, oh no, like just rushing, like not putting underpants on because it's late at night, pajamas. Used to mum's house, like we don't run around the house to get my late night task. Just kind of free and easy. I'm not going to put underpants on, but this is kind of, you know, a little bit more chaotic. And yeah, I was the reason that after that, we were all sitting there sewing up the, as they called them, this is just what they called them, the cock holes on our PJs. We're sitting there sewing them up because I defiled the poor instructor's eyes, you know. And I thought it was just my toothbrush, but yeah, obviously I was just a clusterfuck because I was 17, man. I was just like so much. I had ADHD, mad anxiety. It was just like, yeah, I was just watching like chickens roost, you know, kind of running around these little beds and trying to tuck things into your bunk bed. It was just a nightmare, you know. Like
I saw that with a fucking, in the hallway with a female corporal. Fucking, you know, you run out with your fucking sheets over your shoulders. Fucking, so you've been blasted awake. You just grab your fucking sheets and run out and you fucking stand at attention with your sheets over your shoulders and fucking female corporals walking up the line. She's like, "Recruit, your dick's hanging out."
Oh, you know, like, how could you ever make good for that? You know, like, how can you ever make good for that in the civilian world? This stuff only happens in service positions, man. You know, like, oh, you know, like, you can't say really, "Sorry, corporal," you know, like, you try and fix stuff and you're not told to fix stuff and put things away. It's like, it's definitely a diverse environment, man. I had a lot of fun. You know, like, I remember having like rules and discipline around like the dinner table, like stuff I'd never been experienced. Stop, wash your hands before you go in the mess. It's like, whoa, okay, like just the level of professionalism they have at that outfit to get you sharpened up in the space of, you know, how long are you there for? 3 months?
Yeah, 3 months.
3 months.
13 weeks.
The ways they turn you out, like from just being a shit-eating kid, basically, to getting you like as a somewhat of a professional soldier, I think is really admirable the way they did it. But no other really interesting stories from Kapuka, I don't think. I got done for dropping my rifle at the range and absolutely destroyed.
Loaded?
I didn't. No, I don't think I had a magazine in, but I had a magazine. It was in it, and I went to put it down on my webbing, and I dropped it from a little bit of a height, probably 2 inches, you know, and it fell down on my webbing, and I got destroyed, dude. I was probably, that ear beating went for about 6 hours. So, yeah, I learned, like, obviously the importance of that, all that, but that was super necessary. They're firearms, they kill people, you don't muck around with them, you know. All those lessons, that's what I needed, you know. I needed to get my ass kicked, ass handed me. I was a smart ass. And I always had to reply to everything in this. When you're in those environments, you're not allowed to talk, dude. So I'm like sitting there, like having visceral responses because I want to say something. Want to have a little smart ass comment, it's not working, you know. So, fuck. But yeah, looking back now, it's just a laugh, you know. Like, I would like to be in like 24, just watching me as a 17-year-old kid trying
just
to
get
never shaved before, just bleeding. Standing on the hallway line, just bleeding out his face because he can't shave properly because he's just a kid. Doesn't have any facial hair anyway. Yeah, just stuff like that. Like there was a couple little tricks we had, like the guys, the young kids, we were just always trying to cut corners. I don't know why. Like, we were so afraid, but, you know, like just putting the shaving cream on and then shaving with the back of your razor because we didn't have facial hair. But they would check the little baby hairs that were on your face. So, "Stop, go back in there, you moron." And you're running around with shaving cream flying off your face. It's like, those moments, man, that'll sustain me for, like, I'll laugh about that stuff when I'm old man on the couch, I think, you know, just about sewing up the delicate parts of your pajamas. Just affecting everyone's day in a negative way. We're going to sew up the holes in our pants. But yeah, I had a really dynamic time though. Learn a lot. Hone my strength. I really struggled at PT and doing the push-ups, man. Push-ups was always something I struggled with. And that stupid rope climb, the upright rope, I couldn't do the feet thing. I was like autistic. I couldn't get my feet over the thing and do the proper. So I was just kind of muscle up my arms and kind of wrap my feet around the rope like it looked kind of legit, but it was never kind of right. So, you know, just the little things like that. But yeah, otherwise I was a pretty strong soldier. So we went from there to Buckapunyal. It's about me and 20 guys, I think, that were in my...
Okay, you're in Cav.
Yeah, I was a cavalry soldier. So I originally signed up to be a Sparky. And they said, "Yeah, just get into cab, mate. And you'll have it." Got me. Trade switch when you get in. And then 10 years later, I'm still not an electrician. So I kind of forgot about it, you know. They showed me what an ASLab was, and I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I want to drive that big thing, you know. So, yeah, it was from there to pucker, and that was another level of professional soldering, you know, going through, getting gassed. And
When did you join?
I joined in 2010. So 2011, I was moving through pucker, I think. Yeah, so June 2010, and then, 2011, start of 2011, I think, start of the year, I was in Puckapunyal. So we had the break before Christmas. We had a little bit of Christmas leave, and then you're off to Puckapunyal to get fucking even more smashed. So, you know, get destroyed.
When you leave fucking Kapuka, you're like, oh, we're going to get treated like adults now.
No, it's only just begun.
Welcome to phase 2.
Yeah, so we rocked up there and had the feathers in our hat. Like, as soon as you get them emu feathers, man, you think you're fucking hot shit. You know, you're putting them emu feathers in your hat. Yeah, I'm a big dog now, you know, and you're just consistently getting humbled every day, you know. Go through, do your IMTs. So we learn infantry minor tactics in cavalry role. So we can be cavalry light scouts. That's what I wanted to join as. I saw it on the defense website. I saw you had a shamag on. It was the back of a LRPV. It was like an SAS soldier. It was a completely wrong job role, but it said like Cav Scout. And I was like, yeah, I want to be that as an SAS guy, man. But they got me. So hats off to them. You know, that's what they did, and they got me. So I signed up to go do that. So you learn your infantry minor tactics. So you learn section attacks, you know, tunnel of love.
Drills and stuff.
Yeah. Learn how to move on the ground and how to plant wire and how to blow up a claymore and, you know, shoot 84s. And it's really fun. Like, I had a lot of fun at a young age. I was probably 18 or 19. I think I just turned 18 when I was there and left close to, we had retread platoon. So we were like 6 months in Pucker. We went there for 3. So, yeah, we were in holding platoon for a while because cavalry needed to backfill because they had so many people going to Afghanistan and really having those really big fights, Mirabad, and really quite heavy shit in Afghanistan. So they needed to sort of replace some of the guys that were getting worn out, you know, 4 or 5 trips to Iraq and Afghanistan. You know, these guys are getting fucking pumped, you know.
So, I know a few of them.
Yeah, they're pretty cool guys, you know. There's, you know, some really, and a lot of them in Brizzy. So a lot of those guys are up this way, you know. That's why I felt kind of cool to maybe come up here and start doing some work up here with some of the guys. It'd be really cool. I like hanging out with those guys. But yeah, you learn your infantry minor tactics. You kind of learn how to be an infantry soldier before you learn the cavalry tactics. So you do that, and then you go into comms. I don't know how long comms was. I think it was a month. It was like 3 weeks of hell, like doing radios and learning how to set up retrans stations and little comms sweeps, like on a smaller platform. Just really stupid shit. How to learn cipher and how to do codes. I remember our encoding books, and that was just ridiculous how hard that stuff was, you know. I couldn't wait to get out of there. And then you move into your DNS phase. No, DNS and then guns. So DNS is you're learning all about the vehicle. A lot of pressure, putting a lot of pressure on you, you know, like to know your vehicles. So you're learning about what type of turbo it has, how much fuel does it have. You're learning to be completely au fait with it. So you have like expert level knowledge. So you can look after the vehicle to, you know, a mechanic level nearly to the level of a mechanic looks after it. So you're able to kind of work interdependently with a mechanic to kind of sort your vehicle out really quickly, so you can diagnose stuff and just be like, hey, this is what it is. I don't know how to fix it. Can you fix it for me? You know, it just take you to that threshold of professionalism, so you know how to do a handover, so you can get the problem fixed as fast. You know, like learning that level of professionalism was great. But then we had guns. So you kind of learn the bigger. I don't really remember what it was. A Mag 58 and 50 cal. I think you go through and. I don't even remember if you do a shoot with them, but you kind of just learn how to play around with them. And then you kind of get sent off to your units. I was sent off to 2nd Cavalry Regiment, which was in Darwin at the time. So I want to say I got there in 2011 as well. So maybe mid-2011, I was in there for probably June. Once again, June, July.
Oh, is that where you know Solomsy from?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, he joined up. He joined up a couple AT sessions behind mine, but really a great guy, and we had a really good friendship. We were kind of more in D Squadron, but I'll talk about that later on. It was kind of more of an offshoot. But he went to A Squadron, I think, and got moved to C Squadron, which was kind of the blue The blue unit, we would have blue as our colour, and there was A, B, C, and regimental HQ. And they were highly trained units, like really well trained. These guys were coming back from Afghanistan and with Iraq with all their knowledge and then bringing it back into the regiments, really strict, really full on. Everything's, if you're going to do it wrong, you're going to be dead. Because I seen my mate dad say everything's about passing your PTSD on, like just pass it on. My mate died, take this shit seriously. You're like, oh God, just trying to do your drills. But yeah, that was just the nature of the regiment at the time, and it required a high level, which allowed for people to develop a high level of soldiering skills, we like to play hard. Monsoons was always around the corner up in Darwin. I don't know if a lot of people know about that, but yeah, there's about 2 or 3 different. You'd have the engineer unit, you have the infantry 5RR, so like 1 CR, 5RR, and then 2 Cav, all kind of going in the same boozers, so a lot of blues, and we worked hard, played hard.
Boys as well.
Yeah, and the Navy boys as well. That's right. Yeah, you guys are right on the Larrakia. Is that right? Larrakia, I think, is the base there. Yeah, so you're just down the road from us. Smith Street, all those cool little places. So we worked hard, played hard, and I think those are some of the best memories I have in my life. I remember being, getting up to silly stuff and antics, but I was of the age of that being appropriate for, not still doing it at 42, I was the young guy kind of kicking it, having a fun time. So Darwin was really good for me. Mount Bundy, really hard training around. Really building that resilience in me. 42-degree days and going to work, hungover, just crack on. This is the way the work has to be done, and nobody cares that you spent your evening getting drunk. So it's like a cause and effect, learning about consequences and really developing yourself and a level of resilience to overcome those challenges.
It's a fucking Spartan way, isn't it?
That's right.
Get smashed and crack on.
Crack on, fellas. Like it never happened,
Yeah, that's it. Fucking hell, I couldn't... I can barely fucking walk to the kitchen to fucking grab water when I'm hungover, let alone fucking run up a hill.
Yeah. It's always the 12K run, though. You get home at 3 a.m. The next day is always the 12K run. I don't know why it is. That we're going for a base run. Like,
You got to love how they do the dining in nights and everything on fucking Thursdays.
You got to go work PT. Friday. What's going on here? Like, do it on a Friday, you maniacs. They just want to see people like walking in, like, or barely walking into work,
Fuck. I went to a dining in night like fucking 3 weeks ago. And fucking cunts were spearing in before entrees.
Yeah. It's pretty good, huh? I think how do you explain dining in nights to people that aren't civilians? It's like such there's like this event where like, I don't know, we'll get knocked off at what time you get knocked off? Like sometimes about like 1 p.m. The amount of alcohol people drink from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. when the event starts is like ridiculous. Like you said, people trying to stand to attention, falling on tables, or like just throwing their meal across the thing, getting kicked out. You're out, get out of here. Like,
Yeah.
So funny, dude.
Carried to the fucking guard room.
Yeah, see you later. You got guard for the next 7 weeks.
They don't want to they can't leave the table because the speeches are on, so they just throw up on themselves.
Yeah, you've got to do it. Or pee your pants or pee into a bottle. Like, it gets pretty wild, But yeah, that's the stuff we can't talk about, but we're not in defence anymore, so we can talk about it because it's fucking hilarious. Somebody's going to know about it, the antics we used to get up to.
So fucking, how long are you up in Darwin for? Did you deploy from there?
Yeah, I just did Malaya. So 2014 we did Malaya, 2014, 2012. 2012 RCB 97, so going over Penang and learning how to do jungle warfare, that was really cool. Especially when you get in there with the Malayans and they teach you how to kill people with bits of stick and trees and root bark, like they have these like bungee traps that they would use in like Vietnam, like how they actually engage that sort of stuff and teach you. It's like just the ingenuity they have. It's very, that whole trip is about like ingenuity and learning how to be a soldier and work in any environment and kind of make the environment work for you, instead of busting your ass. It's still hard, like cutting down mountains of like bamboo and shit with machetes, once again, it's just another level of resilience, kind of building up. Okay, I can now tolerate 42-degree weather. Where are we going to go next? Let's go somewhere where there's like 30-degree weather, but the humidity is like 90%, and you're just going to walk all day because there's no ability to really stop because it's not like there's cut tracks in there. We're making the tracks. So like even if you're sitting or resting in the jungle, you're kind of just like propped up between like a couple bamboo trees and you know, it's not in a rock. It's like it's not a very comfortable position for you to try and relax. You're not getting those big breaks, so it's kind of like you're on the tools. And then we'd have the lead section go through cutting all the bamboo, and then at the back you might be. We're attached to 5 hour. It was actually 5 hours trip, so we had some cavalry soldiers go with them to kind of practice IMTs, which is infantry minor tactics with them. So learn off those guys. But yeah, we get swapped out for DFSW, which is the heavy weapons, which means, you know, you're carrying bits of 50 cal equipment and mag 58s, which we really weren't used to kind of carrying that stuff through complex environments. So once again, another level of just fuckery, basically, you know, like.
Was that just like, just for fucking bolstering the infantry or?
Yeah, so the DFS.
Upskilling?
Yeah, they kind of have these upskill roles in the infantry, like they'll get attached to mortar platoons, whether fire mortars or DFSW is just heavy weapons, so they can move from one location to another. So they'll set up an observation post or somewhere to observe the enemy, and then I'll start firing on them and providing covering fire. So this unit over here, which is just light infantry soldiers, just with basic small arms weapons, can make a move through complex terrain without being, assaulted or ambushed in way. So this is just like a big distraction, firing heavy weapons, and they'll shoot from defilated positions, which means they can shoot from the back of a hill and drop the rounds on someone, so they're not exposed. It's really interesting. We can do it with armored vehicles as well. So it's shooting from covered locations so that the enemy can't fire upon us, because it's about elevation. So getting yourself so high on a feature and then putting yourself on the backside of that. I don't know if I should be talking about Australian Army military tactics like this.
Right, it's all fucking, you can
Google it. You probably Google YouTube, but you know.
China has all the documents, don't they?
Yeah, well, that's right. Any Chinese listening to this, you get your pen and pencil out.
Why were your cav dudes doing the infantry stuff though?
I think so we could help out. I think and learn how hard those guys had it. Just I think everything I did was kind of learning about other people, much like that Eastern philosophy. I kind of carried that into the military and been like, okay, what does the infantry guy do? Okay, what's the hardest thing he does? I'm like, putting the 50 cal on your back and walking around, that's pretty hard. I kind of respect these guys now. I don't see them as my enemies, because I think a lot of toxic military culture, I'll use that word, is kind of seeing your other service personnel as the enemy, you know, like, or Navy guys as the enemy or Air Force guys as the enemy. It's like, we're all working together, you know. Can't we just everybody love everybody, you know, like come from that space, because I think it creates more harmony and usefulness. Like when you get out, you're able to engage with more people and kind of help in a better way. You know, that's what I saw. It was like, what is this trying to teach me? As hard as this fucking is, what is the lesson here? It's like, appreciate what these guys go through, because it is challenging being out here in like 35-degree weather, and the air's that thick you can drink it like soup. And I'm carrying really heavy weapons. I'm going to appreciate these guys when I get to work with them later on, because I know how hard they have it. I'm not going to give them shit just because they walk around and call them things like centipedes, you know, 100 legs, one brain. Kind of mean bully things like that, you know.
It's fucking.
I'm not going to call that, but kind of am, you know. But do it from a playful way, because you understand how hard they have it, you know. And then.
So did you just volunteer for that?
Yeah. It was kind of picked. I think he kind of voluntold. They kind of pick a bunch of people that are good at their IMTs, and I was kind of doing a lot of infantry minor tactics stuff for a long while before I got in the driver's hole, which is kind of misery. It's like 70 degrees in the Darwin heat. You got that in the engine temperature, so it's probably 40 degrees, and then you kind of add that heat of the internal engine temperature. I didn't really want to be jumping in as I've been driving around. This wasn't on my to-do list, you know, like, because I knew how hard it was and how hot it was and how draining. Some days you have like 72 hours. The driver wouldn't leave his hole, just kind of in there sweating like Ace Ventura. You know, that's the best way to look at it. You know, Ace Ventura when he's in the hippopotamus scene. That's what it's like on 70, exactly like that. Everything's wet, and you just kind of got a little shitty fan keeping you. You're looking through your 3 periscopes. You can barely see anything, and you're just hitting shit. People yelling at you, but they're up in there in the breeze and the air, and like just getting screamed at looking through, you know, just like looking through like a post-it note size hole trying to move this 13-ton vehicle. It's very complex, man. Like learning how to drive, you become like a little wu-wei sensei down there, because you can feel the vehicle tracks, you can feel the tires, and you kind of learn to move with the vehicle and feeling things in the creek lines. And yeah, it kind of gives you a super sense, I guess, of like operating. But I hated driving, man. It was just so hot, and it required so much, because I had ADHD. It required so much focus and attention and forced me to focus. I'm like, God, everyone's going to die if I don't drive good. So super hard, you know. I'd prefer to be out in the ground moving around, you know.
Yeah, right.
So I went through that process, and then I moved over to carriers. So I probably did that for 3 or 4 years of different IMTs, different roles as a driver. I didn't make it to gunner until after I left, I think. So we got trained in the carriers. So I don't know if you know what M1 103 AS4 is. Somebody died in one just recently, yesterday. I think they had the vehicle roller. Yeah, so.
What is it?
It's a infantry carrier, so it's like a big square box, and they kind of on tracks, and they're designed to transport troops into locations and assault specific locations.
Oh, like APC, is it?
Yeah, APC, that's the one. So yeah, we got cross trained in that, and that's where I know Anthony Sams from. Was one of the. You know, that was a great crew. We got formed in this different squadron. So we went from C squadron. I think sometimes he was actually C squadron. And now that I think about it, it wasn't A. But yeah, we moved into amalgamizing this into D squadron, and which would be a part of the 1st Armoured Regiment, which would be attached and moved down to Adelaide. And we'd learn how to be trained and qualified off the 7RA boys, which had all the vehicles, and then we had to hand over. It was like a massive handing over process of us grabbing the vehicles, learning how the vehicles work, being trained, crew commander qualified, and then, you know, learning how to assault locations and do things a little bit differently. There's 2 different roles. You're kind of moving into an infantry role when you're moving through an AS4. So an ASLAV is designed for reconnaissance. It's designed for sneaking and driving up over features and using the enhanced optics to see like 2.5 Ks, like further distances, and observe the enemy that way. AS4s are kind of for assaulting objectives and getting right on top of people. So driving up like 300 meters shy of the enemy and just pumping 50 cal rounds on them and letting all the infantry get out and just shoot rockets off. It's like, it's fun. You know, it's wild fun. Like recon's hard, you know, it requires a lot of mental focus, but you know, the AS4s was just kind of letting the dog off the leash and just being a beast. Like, fire! You know, like the war movies, you know, like kind of like that. So
yeah,
it was definitely like, a lot of those assaults were kind of, I'm trying to just put it, you know, there's a couple of different movies. I can't think of any of them right now, but there's a couple of movies that do them justice, you know, about what it's like to be in an armoured vehicle. And the responsibility to stay in the vehicle all the time, to like look after the guys in the back, you know, it's a lot. You go from the responsibility of looking after yourself as one soldier, and once you become crew commander qualified, you go through that driving responsibility where you're just kind of responsible for 8 people in the back, for you being actually responsible for the driver. If the driver runs off and kills someone, you know, if he does something, and the 8 guys in the back, you know, so you become responsible actually like a father for everyone. So it's good. I think it's a good position for people to go in to learn how to be more accountable and responsible in the military. And I think it's a very useful life lesson for guys to get crew commander qualified in any sort of AS4 or armoured vehicle platform. So
nice.
there was that, and then we got trained once again. They were like, okay, you've got an Iraq trip coming up. We need you guys to get qualified in Bushmaster now. So now we're learning another platform. So we're learning how the bushies worked and getting crew commander qualified on that. So we did driver and crew commander qualified courses back to back because they needed those courses done really quickly before we went to Iraq. So that was in 2016. I think I'd been in about 5 years at that point. So yeah, that was an interesting saga of getting ready for to go to the big dance, as they say, you know.
Yeah, nice. The bushies, I've had the last three guys on the podcast have all been fucking in a bushy under an IED, over an IED.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Got lucky I missed all that stuff, but man.
I got a message from another dude. He's like, you must be fucking manifesting fucking IED blasts. I'm like, fuck off, mate. I'm just reporting on shit that's already happened.
Yeah.
Those fucking, the VHAL, mate, fucking
saves lives. Yeah. It's really interesting. I had a mate that got blown up. Aaron, he got blown up in a PMV whilst overseas, and it's just like amazing the level of survivability that they can have by just shaping a piece of metal in a V. You know, it just separates the blast and it'll blow the tires off and all the CES trunks off the vehicle, but it keeps everyone safe and sound inside. You know, to a degree that you know, if someone's head's hanging out of a hatch, there's not a good chance of survivability. But you know, it's definitely one of the godsends as far as. You know, there's no other vehicle, I don't think, that has that level of survivability in the world that PMV does for casually surviving blasts and IEDs. So I think a lot of military organizations and outfits could really they could really benefit from using those vehicles to move and maneuver those troops around, you know.
Yeah.
Take notes, China, if you're listening.
Get
some
better than the
POVs.
fucking Humvees.
Yeah, that's right. They just blow up, man. People just, you know, it's quite tragic. It's just flat bottom. All the explosives and all the charge just go straight up through the floor, and the projectiles just come straight through the floor. A lot of armor-piercing rounds will typically be a slug of copper at the end of a round, and it'll be compressed as a V. So when it hits its projectile hits its target, it'll compress and ignite the fuse, and it'll create a chemical reaction which will turn it into like a hot liquid that just kind of bounces through the car or the vehicle and just hits everyone inside. Horrific stuff.
Yeah, right.
That's the nature of those armor-piercing rounds. They're pretty interesting, you know, the way it works. But yeah, we don't have anything to really combat those sort of, besides the tank, the Abrams. That's, you know, besides that, most of our armoured vehicles are pretty light on armour. You know, we can get bolt-on armour and other things like that to increase the level of survivability, but it makes the vehicle heavy and kind of affects the drivetrain on the vehicle, so damages the suspension and shit because it's heavier than it needs to be.
Yeah.
So it slows it down also, you know. Wears the turbos out.
So you're still a kid, 23 years old, fucking heading off to Iraq.
Yeah, it was big, man. You know, like I didn't think Mum was ready for it. I don't think anybody was kind of ready for that. When they read my name out, like, because I've been in a bit of trouble for dining in night shenanigans, smacking a few sergeants on too many wines and just behaving myself. I didn't think I'd be eligible for it, but you know, I proved my worth as a soldier, and I crawled back out of, you know, having those charges kind of put against me and making the wrong choices and being able to atone for my sins enough to get the trip. And I was just so stoked and appreciated by my unit that they saw the hard work that I did was worth more than the incidents that would kind of show up from my drinking, you know. And that's kind of something that followed me out of the army, and something I've worked with the 12-step program to kind of overcome alcoholism, because it's just such a big problem in the military sector, you know, dealing with alcohol. And, you know, especially you would have seen it in your fighting, like if you're drinking on camp, you know, you're just shit. You know?
Oh, yeah, you can't.
You can't, there's no time for it, no space for it. But yeah, I've definitely had challenges with the alcohol, and those were kind of the prevalent challenges that kind of affected my work. So I was like, yeah, I need to kind of put the grog down for a while and get focused on trying to get this deployment. And that's what I did. And I trained a lot and got myself to a really fit standard. You know, I was deadlifting like 210. You know, I was a pretty strong, useful guy at that time, you know. So, yeah, I was a bit of a wep. And then, just quietly, I'm shit now. The only reason I'm talking like that is because I'm just shit house now, you know. I'm broken chubby guy. Got the dad fats, you know.
Back in my day.
Yeah, back in my day, I did left the Humvee. But yeah, so we went from that environment, and that was kind of more significant of really seeing the sacrifices of war and what happened, you know. Like, it was challenging from the start. My girlfriend kind of broke up with me as soon as I went. I was like, oh, this sucks. I got no emotional support back home, you know.
What was the feeling like, fucking on the plane heading over, fucking ready to step in country?
Anxious and like, finally, you know, it was like, I don't know what the good word for finally is, but like,
been training for this, like
anticipation is the word I was looking for. Yeah, I was anticipating, like, yes, I'm finally going to go over there and I get to serve my country, and I finally get to do something real instead of chasing imaginary men through the bush for the last 5 years. Section of two to 3 man groups, you know, they've been doing that for years, you know. So it's looking finally like, I finally get to show up to the dance, the big party, you know. Multinational environment in Iraq as well, so it's British Army are there, US Marines are there, US Army's there. Spanish Special Forces. So I had a big group dynamic of professional soldiering in an international environment. So for me, I was like, yes, let's fucking go. I've been waiting for this, you know. I think every service personnel they get to that finally moment when they don't, you know, but you get to that time where your service becomes of use and you get to kind of like, it all becomes worth it, whatever it is, that moment where you're like, yes, I finally, everything I work for it's shining through, you know, and I'm getting a chance to serve in the way I want to serve.
All that suck.
Yeah, all that suck was finally worth it, sitting around in the rain and the cold and finally.
I think the dudes that don't ever get a trip, like you never get past that. Like my whole career was just embracing the fucking suck.
Yeah. The jade,
For nothing.
Yeah, well, I probably wasn't 23, I was probably 25, so I was 7 years before I got a trip. So I was with you and like, this is never going to happen, like I was miserable. I was like, this sucks. Everyone's getting trips, I was watching my friends go overseas and deploy and, get the little trips up to Afghanistan. I'm like, hey, like getting bitter every day, But yeah, it was really, it also came with its multinational challenges. So I was on QRF. One day, we'd have a lot of different roles in Iraq. We would train the ISF, the Iraqi security forces, which were FedPol, which were just like basic shitty police officers that come to deal with Daesh or ISIS in Mosul. And they would come ill-equipped. They'd come with, the army would steal half their equipment and they would kind of just show up to and die, essentially. They would just say, inshallah, it's God's will. If I die, I die. I'm like, man, you really need to focus and listen to the lessons that these guys are trying to help you with. Not inshallah this, inshallah that. Inshallah, when the rounds come down, you'll be running. Trust me, So, yeah, you were dealing with cultural issues like that. But also, yeah, we had an incident. I was on doing two different roles. There was Tango 4, which was the Anzac rotation. So that was the New Zealand sector and the Australian sector working hand in hand. So that was the first time that's probably happened since, I guess, World War II or World War I, sorry. Working contingent with each other.
What are they like?
Really good, really relaxed. They're not running a monarchical system, so they're not coming from the monarchy. It's not like a British. Oh, yeah. They're not running like that. Like, hey, bro, how's your day, bro? Oh man, this is so good. You want a coffee, bro? We're going to go out in about 15 minutes. Hey, you can grab a coffee and we'll go. It's like, this is so much better than like angry Australian guy just shouting for the sake of shouting, just putting everyone's nerves, nerves on bay. It was so much relaxing, But then I was on QRF, so we would have monitoring like quick reaction force, so monitoring the security network over the TMC, which is the Taji military complex, so making sure everything was safe. And that come with its drawbacks working for them. You get like kind of 3 hours sleep most nights, because you're doing a radio picket and then you'd have to go out with your training team the next day. It was just the nature of things, the rotation that I had, and it was just the way it was. So I sucked up and grinned and bared it, because I was overseas and that was what was required. But yeah, we had a British guy get killed on whilst I was on QRF. His friend was in the room and discharged his rifle and actually shot him in the chest. And killed him nearly on sight. But I had to help the team and co-order the move over. I didn't know who was a real casualty. Nobody said no duff. That's a really important thing to say when you actually have a casualty. Nobody said that. They just said, they're running a practice drill down at the hospital. Can you go find some of the nurses? And I'm like, why do I feel like this is a real incident going on and somebody's not taking this seriously?
How do you ND in the fucking lines?
Yeah, I think he was just mucking around, pointed at him, fuck it, yeah. Shot him in the chest.
God damn.
So the coroner had to pull his heart out of his chest, try to start it manually with his hands.
Holy shit.
So that was kind of my PTSD thing, was I didn't work fast enough, and having the images and thinking about it and obsessing it for a while, kind of overwhelmed me, because like maybe I could have done more, all those fleeting thoughts. Remember I said earlier in the podcast that those thoughts, they're not always the hand of something higher, so we can't trust those thoughts, the what ifs, that's what PTSD is a lot like. What if I did this? What, like, the situation happened? And that's understanding the Eastern philosophy. We come back to that. It's like, what happened. I didn't shoot the guy.
It is what it is.
And it's past. And now I'm in the present. So, yeah, I think I have a lot to be able to help guys with PTSD understand the now moment and how intrinsically important it is to be in the now and, like, not letting the PTSD, because I could, like, if I wanted to, snap right back into being in that environment and thinking about it and obsessing when I would go to sleep, like, thinking about how, like, the blood would have been, like, spit all over it, you know what I mean? Like, and all those thoughts.
You're in the hospital with him?
No, like, they had a transport team go out, so it was on two different. The whole thing was a fucking clusterfuck. They put it on the wrong comms network, so it came through the international comms network. We weren't monitoring that. So it was just one of the incidences that came up. We need to be able to monitor all comms. So yeah, so they end up transporting him. But yeah, I was just told all the graphic details and been put it in responsibility myself. And it's like, it's not fair to do ourselves a disservice like that with PTSD. We've got to be like real about, especially about like the blue on greens and stuff and the blue on blues that kind of happen. It's like, you weren't the insurgent that pulled the trigger. But a lot of us can come into that thinking of like, oh, what if I did it? You weren't the guy that pulled the trigger. You weren't the guy that like got paid off by some kind of crime syndicate within ISIS to come into work one day knowing they was going to gun down Australian soldiers. You're not responsible for that. So don't carry it. You know, there's so much stuff we carry as Australian soldiers or service personnel, Air Force, Army, Navy, accidents, you know, in practice, like people getting, you know, injured. Result, like the guy that rolled the AS4 is now passed away, but somebody's going to sit and make that their fault. You know, a lot of people in leadership positions kind of do it as well. It's like, it's not useful. It's like, what happened. You know, but acceptance is the way to deal with the PTSD. Otherwise it becomes a visceral response. And like you said, with a program in the bodies, if that's the program you want to run, you'll feed that PTSD and it will get so bad. I've had it where I can't walk before. You know, I called up the hospital and said, I can't walk, but I was just having reactions to PTSD events. So that was just the nature of how strong it gets stored in the nervous system. And the sooner we can accept that what happened was happened and we kind of move back, we remove the attachment from the event, the responsibility that we didn't do the right thing. We get rid of all this visceral sickness that's attached to this horrible memory and we pull it out in the light of the acceptance and be like, what happened happened. It couldn't have happened any other way, but it's over now.
Yeah.
That's how we kind of want to deal with PTSD, and that's the way I deal with it in some of the work that I've been doing with veterans to overcome these challenges, which is not getting done in a clinical space. I don't want to say that. There's good psychiatrists and good psychologists. I'll retract that statement. That will work people with through this stuff, but I think a lot of it gets avoided. We don't have to talk about your PTSD. What's important to talk about their level of attachment to the event. I think it's really important. Don't avoid it.
Yeah.
You know, let's talk about it and then let's reframe it in a way.
That's true. The whole carrying stuff is a massive thing. Even survivor's guilt. Yeah. Like with the green on blues, the guys that were there that didn't get shot feel bad.
Why me? Why wasn't me?
Yeah.
Not normal thoughts coming from some, you know, somewhere else that we don't want to attach to thoughts like that. But because we're such mental creatures, especially as men and as warriors and soldiers, we like to think our way out of everything. So like I said before, it's just, I'm thought that, so that must be right because I've used my brain to fix and logically assess things my entire life. So this thought must be true. So it's one of the big great lies of PTSD that I'm helping people kind of work through with the work that I do outside of, you know, and outside of my military service, you know, trying to get people's control back of their life and get some strength and, you know, feeling good about themselves again, you know, because that survivor guilt, that PTSD, that anxiety is like severe, bro. You know, the way it affects people. Yeah,
for sure. That's admirable. I just wanted to maybe make it a bit lighter for a second.
Yeah, let's do that. I was just about to say it. On a lighter note.
Fucking everybody that's come in that's been to Afghan has fucking told some hilarious stories about the ANF and fucking AFP about just being fucking high as kites doing dumb shit with the Iraqis like that as well.
Yeah, they smoke like 12 o'clock comes along, they start smoking the weed and they start cooking like curries and shit, like goat curries. I'm like, man, we got to practice. And he's like, give me 10 minutes. And he's sitting there, massive pot, they're cooking up goat curry. What the fuck's going on? And they're like, who's carrying because they don't have refrigerator. These guys aren't like, I'm like, where'd the goat come from? You know, like someone carrying goat pieces around in their pack. They don't even have packs. You know, like where did the pot come from? Like just all it is like more questions, you know? Like, they would cook on like, they would burn bits of paper and plastic bottles to create a fire and then cook a goat curry over a plastic smoke-ridden poisoned goat curry, man. If you got that goat curry and you would have been crook as anything, dude. So
they got iron guts.
But yeah, they had this foot bread. We call it the foot bread, made at the Mbok, I think it was called. And yeah, it was amazing. They apparently knead it with their feet. Adds to the fermentation. We just eat this foot bread. It was like really amazing, dude. I don't know why they called it foot bread, and I don't know if they did knead it with their feet, but I hope they didn't, because I saw a lot of those guys' feet in sandals, and it wasn't a good look. It was a lot of hanging toenails. But yeah, they're goofy, man. They're ISF. They're funny guys. They're like, you know, I don't want to make it heavy again, but just the way that they do their soldiering, like they would do like room entries, and the guy would have an axe, and he's like, I was standing at the door getting ready to enter the room, and I had an axe, and my friend was the number one, but I thought I was the number one. And he went through the door and fired his rifle, and I got surprised, and I hit him in the back of the head with my axe. And he showed me the scar on his head with the axe.
Oh my God.
So they're just goofballs, man. They don't listen to any instruction, you know. That I don't think we had anyone take anything seriously. They were too worried about frying goat curry over their plastic bottle fire. You think Hexy's bad, you know? Like, geez, these guys are cooking over bits of plastic. Yeah, but I think that camaraderie and that the ability to be able to have a joke, I think, is something really that helped a lot of us through the, I guess, once those incidents that happened overseas, we would conduct ourselves in a kind of jovial way. We had like a way of talking that we were on a British sail ship, you know, where a lot of my friends watched Master and Commander and could kind of quote that. And Mr. Loring's, make sure you secure the, you know, like whatever it was. But just that ability to be able to be in something really horrific and then just be joking about it the next minute, you know, like that ability to bounce back, that rigidity we get as service personnel to be like, yeah, heavy and back to light and fun, you know. It's something that we can teach I think so, that's why it's so useful to have veterans, ex-service personnel as, you know, working with the kids or working with people in, you know, mental health issues, because we have that ability to bounce back. And I think, you know, it's really important that we give that to other people or show people how to bounce back from really hard situations, you know, because it's our resilience and it's that Australian camaraderie and that, that kind of jovial jokester that we've all got internally inside us, and it kind of let us set it free, you know.
I was at the Shell Shocked comedy show last night, the veteran one. Yeah. And I was actually talking to Jared Gownder in that.
Some of the guys' weapons, you know, making you laugh.
Fucking Jack Knight. Oh my God, I've never heard of him before, but fuck, he was a riot. But Jared Gownder, I had Jared on the podcast, and I was actually talking about it with someone last night about the just the dark humour and how it fucking, you know, Jared can turn anything funny.
Yeah, I've seen him do that. He's kind of master with the dark shit, and it's just like, whoa, and then it just turns it funny. It's like,
I've actually got a reel fucking on my page of him talking about his suicide attempt, which is obviously a very serious fucking thing. He even makes that fucking hilarious.
Yeah. I think it's funny to be able to have those experiences in our life and be able to see the lighter side of it. I think that's what the living in the dark kind of gives you, and I think it gives you a level of depth and character that you wouldn't have been able to do if you didn't go through kind of suicidal ideation, all those challenges. If you didn't go through them, you know, we wouldn't be the people that we are. So it's like we got to take the good with the bad, because, you know, through that we can alchemize it and make it useful for someone else. Our suffering, make your suffering useful. I think that's a really important thing that a man needs to do, you know. Is
learn from it, grow from it.
Exactly, and then kind of give it back to the world. Is like, yeah, Jordan Peterson talks about it as well, is like, how do you make the bitter pill of life be tonic for the other person, you know? Like, how do I turn my poison into tonic to serve to people, you know? I think that's what we got to learn to do as men in this culture, and it'll fix a lot of problems, you know? So, yeah, that was Iraq, and that I kind of closed the door on that and came back and was hanging out with my daughter, and I didn't really have too many issues with PTSD. I had challenges. I've been in the clinic and I've done all that, you know, but those kind of just come in waves, and it's the ability to not get too attached about how hard it was and just see it as a challenge of something I needed to overcome in the moment, you know.
How long are you staying after that? Another 3 or 4 years?
Yeah. So I was out by 2017 that finished, and I was out by 2019, so 2 years.
What was the return like? What was it like being back in the...
Like when I got back from Iraq, it was like just everyone was worrying about their problems so much. Such an easy, free-going culture in Iraq, you know, people getting bombed and stuff. You know, they're able to see the lighter side of life, and I would be like, oh, My latte doesn't have the right milk in it. You know, that's what I come back to and was listening. I'm like, man, we are so spoiled here. You know, it's ridiculous. This person's complaining about the milk in their coffee. And I've just come from, you know, somewhere where there's not really a structurally sound building for, you know, like 20 kilometers. It's everything's just been blown to shit. These people have nothing where they can have joy and happiness, and they've developed the Eastern culture and the Middle East as well, you know, that kind of woo way of acceptance. And here we are in Australia, and Australia's really, we're having a lot of issues about entitled people that have got a voice and opinion or a platform that have never really struggled to develop any resilience or overcome anything really challenging. They're just finding something that's going to be clickbait, and they're talking about it. I'm trying to get attention because they've got internal issues that they need to work on, you know, but I think we're seeing that's pretty ripe in society. So that was the main challenges that I saw when I got back, was the strange things people will do to get attention, or like be the Karen, you know, that Karen sort of energy where just kind of turning up and just, well, let me talk to the manager. It would just drive me insane because whinging about everything, you know, you have everything here. It's safe. You can go out, you know. Somebody was telling me about how an African person was telling me the other day, like how safe this country is, you know, and although the cost of living is going up here, just the level of safety, you can go out in the street, not get attacked with someone. Like in Africa, the chances of you getting attacked are quite high. Places like Brazil and this, you know, theft and robbery. So we have all this safety in our society, but like people still find shit to whinge about, you know, just relax.
We don't have any hardships, so they create it.
Not really, no. From what I've observed, you know, it's pretty easy over here.
What? How did that make you feel? Did it make you angry, or?
Yeah, I was resentful when I first come back. I was like, I was pretty resentful for a few years. I was like, look at these fucking whinging people, you know. Like I had a real bit of a hang up for society in general. And it took me a while to overcome that, you know, move back into that Eastern philosophy again. I did Muay Thai to help with the PTSD, and that stuff's where I really picked it up when I got back from the army, and I was really struggling with my negative mindset. I needed that Eastern philosophy and kind of mucking around and, that playful side of Muay Thai to bring me back to regularity and balance, so I wasn't so angry and resentful of people, you know. You know.
Did you, do you know Joji Flanagan?
No.
Yeah. He was a fucking cav dude. He's right into his Muay Thai as well.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think it's one of the ways that we learn to kind of deal with our issues coming back. Like, I think it's just the way, the structure, the respect on it. It's like, I've forgotten. I've gone the wrong way again. I've become resentful, full of pride, and think I'm better than everyone else. I need to humble myself. You can get your ass kicked in the ring a few times. Yeah.
Did you ever fight?
Nah, I'm more trained the guys up to fight, but I definitely think it's something that I will entertain. I think I need to get in there and just kind of let the beast out. Definitely the last couple of years have been mentally kind of, since I've been avoiding Muay Thai, I think mentally the strain has been there, and I think letting that dog off the loose and letting yourself be a bit wild in the ring, I think is necessary. I used to spar really hard with a fighter that was of he was Brazilian. He was a Brazilian descent. He was about 6'4", really strong guy. But yeah, I used to find myself like after having that real test with that guy, like sparring him and just like big kicks, like always knocking me off balance, always winding me. Like his teeps would just wind me. Like every time he's doing, I'm like just going through that, and then I'm like, I'd really like to be able to go in an environment where you're putting it all on the line, you know, like, and just, I don't know, speak to your experience of what you learned from, you've had fights, yeah? What did you find the difference was? It's like that level of uncertainty and, you know.
Difference, I found sparring harder than my fights, to be honest, like, because the dudes I used to spar with were like, you know, had 30, 40 fights. Yeah. And I was more scared of fucking sparring them than I was. People ask me how many fights I have, and I said 3. But I've had fucking hundreds of rounds of fucking sparring that were way harder than those 3 fights.
That's what I said to people, is like the level of sparring that I've kind of helped fighters get fight ready, and they've kind of just unleashed those big shots. Like, the things I've had to swallow, you know, so people could be better at, you know, ready for their championship fights. And
the fights themselves, dude, there's fucking nothing like it. Yeah. And there'll be nothing you could ever experience in your life.
I've cornered a few fights, so I get the whole energy thing of it, but I really want to be the person kind of walking into that
fucking tunnel focus. There could be fucking hundreds of people screaming and you can't hear any of them. Yeah. Like, you see the ring and the fucking lights on it and nothing else. Then when you're in the fucking ring, all you see is your opponent and everything else blocks out. Your corner's fucking screaming at you. You can't hear a
You
word
got
they're
the
saying.
just nodding at them. Yeah, I got it. Like, teep. Like, what is he doing? He just keeps throwing the jab. Why is he not teeping? He's like, I can't hear you, man.
Yeah.
I'm locked in.
You're wasting your breath. But yeah, no, it's a special fucking feeling. I think the only reason I stopped is I'm scared of the CTE.
Me too. And that's something I was talking about, and we talked about before I come on the podcast, is the risk at CTE in the return service personnel and anyone who's in the service personnel, you know, like in the environments with like just pressurized cabins and, you know, high explosive weapons and the effects it has on the brain. I was really scared to fight because I was having just memory blanks and like memory recall issues and going all worse and just be like, I don't know why I'm in worse. I don't know why I've come here. Like forgetting the entire grocery list or whatever I wanted to get. It was just like memory recall wasn't there. It wasn't quite right. And I was like, there's definitely a link. And I think a lot of people are studying that issue. But yeah, I would see people just get flattened in the middle of the ring, bro, like catch a bad hit. Like it doesn't take much, just like one little head kick and you could be in hospital for like 3 weeks, you know, like, you know what I mean? Like just catching one under the chin on the back of that knockout point back there, you know, it's risky stuff to, especially when you have kids. I think you respect mortality a lot more than when you're kind of just a single dude just kicking around. I think if I was single and didn't have a daughter, I'd probably be fighting, you know, way more. But I
started my exercise physiology degree when I was fighting, and I was like, I don't want to, like, this is a fucking
You're doing the research.
hard health degree, like and I'm doing the research and stuff. I'm like, I don't want to be fucking. Like, I'm already starting to forget words and shit. I don't want to fucking take the risk of getting any worse.
Yeah.
That's that blast stuff is starting to become a big thing in the CTE world as well, eh?
Yeah, well,
were you firing 25s and stuff when you in
I was firing 25s, yeah, so right next to him. So I was a commander qualified in the end. I got commander qualified, so you'd be firing those off next to your head. But more, I think the worst issue I had was Bangalore's are like pipe bombs that the engineers dispose of to remove an obstacle. So if there's someone puts barbed wire down or they put this stupid obstacle down from the enemy to slow down the rate of movement of our specific call signs on the ground, they'll typically blow an obstacle in place. And we had one incident in Adelaide, and it was 2 troop advancing over with the engineers. They were kind of holding the engineer element and they're doing their stuff. But we weren't on that. Once again, we're having comms issues. We weren't on their radio net frequency. So I didn't know what was going on. I was the lead call sign and I went through the creek line, pulled down into the creek line and then kind of pulled up and just kind of positioned my vehicle to see what was going on. There was a lot of space, like 900 metres, nearly a kilometre between us and the rear call sign of Tertiary. And I was like, oh, that's a bit weird. Why is there so much space there? I can barely see the last call sign. I'm like, oh. And I'm getting on my side and I having a look around. I'm like, everyone's closed down. Why is everyone closed down? Why do they get the hatches down? What's going on here? And then I was like, I don't know. I'm like, I'm going to get my binos and go up top. So I like put the chair down and kind of picked up my binoculars and kind of seen some like wires, like a Revisa barbed wire. And then just dust. And like you could see the percussive blast wave coming towards me and kind of knocked me into the rear of the vehicle, like where the hatch was, and I kind of hit and just ended up on the bottom floor of the turret. Unconscious, making weird noises. And I think that event alone kind of, because we weren't on comms, I was the only person there, and everyone else was way back. So they're kind of secured by the blast, or they were down in the vehicle where they didn't get hit directly from a blast wave. But I couldn't imagine being in like engineers and that, and then just setting off blast all the time. Like the amount of damage that would do to your brain, dude. Like this took me out for like, you know, it's that crack on mentality. I was knocked out and then I kind of did a couple of weird coughs, you know, and then I just cracked on, you know. Like it's not good for I should have went and had scans, but you don't think about that stuff when you're in the heat of it, you know.
Yeah.
So, that was my big battle with it. And I've had issues recalling, you know, stuff with my, you know, just like days of importance, like what day of the week it was, like really struggling, what, you know, where am I in my day, or like what time is it? Like completely losing that touch sometimes. And I think that's related to the CTEs and some of the brain injuries, especially fist fights. I fell back on my head a couple of times in drunken fights when I was out. Causing shenanigans, you know. So I think the combination of blast waves and king hits, they take their toll. So I think the brain's such a delicate thing, and we've got to be so careful for what we're doing with the brain, drinking heaps of alcohol and getting in fights,
Yeah,
Maybe
for
not
sure.
the best idea for brain development.
Yeah, that's it. I used to have heaps of fucking street fights before I became a fighter and got professionally trained. I used
Practice on the streets, yeah.
Yeah,
Me too. See how this works. Spinning back kick. Oh, no, I missed.
yeah.
Not useful. Put it in the not useful.
Yeah, but then I became a fighter and fucking never fought again.
Yeah, no more weekend warrior shit. Kind of puts the pin in it.
Get it all out in the gym. And
that's right.
And fucking, you never know what you're going to come across, right? Fucking.
Just we're all waiting for that day we run into someone with a knife and get to fucking lay the smack down on them. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's good to, and I think once again, society's issues with the men being able to defend themselves and defend other human beings is like sorely missed. People don't respect it or be like, oh, that's a useful skill. I could see how you utilize that and that could be helpful for other people. We just condemn anything that's like got to do with violence or the usefulness of. Let's even know that we've never been invaded by another country to have a destructive or, degrading effect on our country, because we have a country of strong warriors. We've got strong genetics, coming from Irish backgrounds and all this convict blood in this nation, it brings a lot of strong warriors. And then you've got the Aboriginal culture as well, like a lot of warrior culture in this country, man. With this in New Zealand, become the most tenacious soldiers in the world. We've seen that on the world stage, like a few times of like sending in our guys to go end certain scenarios that the Yanks or the British may be stuck with, like Gallipoli, just insane, like just running into machine gun fire. Like, what's going on here? Hoping the bullets bounce off, Oh, it didn't work.
Yeah.
Climbing cliffs.
That's what you were saying before about the toxic masculinity fucking trend, right? It's like, and you mentioned Jordan Peterson, who's got that fucking beautiful quote about, a strong man is not a weak man.
No.
A strong man is a fucking warrior that can control his fucking strength.
It's very helpful for people to hear that they should make themselves competent and dangerous and take their proper place in the world.
Competent and dangerous? Why dangerous?
Because it's the alternative to being weak. And weak is not good.
By dangerous, that implies I should be ready to threaten someone, to hurt somebody.
No, you should be capable of it. But that doesn't mean you should use it. Those who have swords and know how to use them but keep them sheathed will inherit the world. That's a way better way of thinking about it. There's nothing to you otherwise. Like, if you're not a formidable force, there's no morality in your self-control. If you're incapable of violence, not being violent isn't a virtue. Capacity for danger and the capacity for control is what brings about the virtue. Otherwise, you confuse weakness with moral virtue. I'm harmless, therefore I'm good. It's like, no, that isn't how it works. That isn't how it works at all. If you're harmless, you're just weak. And if you're weak, you're not going to be good. You can't be, because it takes strength to be good. It's very difficult to be good.
Yeah, better be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war, That's the mentality. And that's beautiful to be able to. I've been like that. I've been really well trained in my Muay Thai, and I've been able to plant seeds in the garden with my daughter and kind of make, you got to have the balance of both. That's kind of that Eastern philosophy of like demon hand and Buddha mind, like being able to create great force and damage, but also being able to create art, paint pictures. That's kind of the way teaches as well. We're going to do a kata, and then after that we're going to paint a painting and drink some tea. So balancing the masculine and feminine polarities, that's a lot of stuff that I've worked with in the work that I kind of do now with vets, engaging and trying to balance them out. How do we balance out after coming out of that environment? So we're kind of in society, but we're not of society. We're not following all the rules that everyone else is doing and, following blindly. I think blind following is fucking dangerous,
I like that fucking demon hands and Buddha mind.
Yeah. A good friend of mine told that to me.
Tell me about the what you are doing now, the coastal veteran stuff.
Yeah, it's an amalgamation of a lot of different lessons I've learned through different paths. I got out and I struggled a lot with drug addiction. I was addicted to cocaine and alcohol and womanizing, sleeping with heaps of girls. I just was lost, really. And I went through, some more alternative structures and plant medicine to kind of try and break those addictions. That didn't work. And like I said to you before the podcast, I needed a way to live in reality, not looking at sobriety as the enemy, you know, like how do I show up in the world as a balanced, healed individual, you know, without needing to go to extremes to sort stuff out. Like how do I solve, you know, complex problems in a sober mind frame? I don't need to go drink 14 cups of ayahuasca and do all these things, you know, sing to the moon to get the answers I need. I can just think with clarity and solve my problems, you know. And that's where I've got to now is like I think I've got a mode that can really help veterans integrate what they learn through their military service, some of their PTSD, some of their woes and struggles that are integrated into being a more rounded individuals. And the way we do that is through surfing and yoga, through a surf yoga retreat. And it's having, you know, really beneficial results in the way that we're doing it. We've got a film crew following us around now. And I'm really looking for people that are interested in holistic practices. Like the clinical space definitely has its advantages of stabilizing people that are in, I guess, mental health. They're kind of a broken individual that will need stabilizing. It has its use, but I don't think the clinical route can always bring 100% clarity of mind, focus and understanding and intent back in. We need to have men living from intent. And that's something that's kind of been forgotten, I think, and it's just something that was taught, you know, in the olden days of like being intentional and being useful in the world. So this is kind of what we do. We go through the program, which would be 3. So we ran our pilot program February at the start of this year, and it was just like 3 days, kind of rock up the Friday, leaving the Sunday. So it was, you know, 2 and a bit days of understanding our injuries, having the ability to be able to share and talk about our PTSD. On the first night, we're just, you know, getting to know each other and, hey, this is my story and this is what I did when I was in the services, and kind of letting go of anything we may be carrying. I'm here, you know, like something like this. I'm here on the retreat because I've been utilizing alcohol to deal with my PTSD for the last 7 months and I don't know how to overcome it. So I'm looking for strong-willed men to help me overcome it. Something like that, you know, like a reason or a purpose is something to overcome, because as men, we want to help each other strive, but we need challenges to help. You know, iron sharpens iron, right? So we need to be able to help work each other, work our issues out together. So what's your issue, bro? You know, reinstating the brotherhood, because that's kind of lost when we leave defense. Nobody's as sharp as and useful as the guys I had when I was in the Air Force, Army and Navy. So how do we build, or how do we get that sharpness back from where we used to serve and kind of inject it in society? Being like, okay, you know, I'm not the most perfect individual in the world, but I've got skills, assets, and I've got teachable moments that I can give onto the next generation or people that are suffering now. So that's what the program does. It shares that story, and then it utilizes ocean awareness, ocean therapy to kind of nullify the feelings and overwhelm. Once you tell your story, you can get a little bit shaken, a little bit anxiety provoking. So we go in the ocean on the Saturday, so the next day after we've all shared, and we just have fun, bro. We just kind of go and play in the ocean and take the surfboards down and learn how to surf. You don't have to know. It's not about like learning to surf. It's not about coming to be the best surfer on the program. It's not about ego. Coming from the Muay Thai background, it's like no ego with me, you know? So it's like we're like just coming to play and have fun, because it's been a bit stressful talking about our woes. We're relaxing the nervous system down, and then we're learning how to we get up and practice yoga first thing in the morning. Learning to connect with the breath and the body and kind of what our body is telling us intuitively, which you would work through with your rehab. Like the body's holding the score. There's something the body's trying to communicate. How do we get in touch with that? And how do we help learn about our body and where it's holding tension and why? And how do we overcome that as well? How do we be masters of our body and mind? And then, then we go out and surf, and then it's sound bowl meditation and, doing some more relaxing sort of cacao and just hanging out after that and just letting the dust settle, and you just see the guys are just completely different from when they enter. You know, they kind of enter wound up and tense and overwhelmed. It's just like hanging out with the boys doing a boys trip, but there's no alcohol or drugs. We don't need to do that because we understand the state of operation that we're trying to achieve. What am I trying to achieve by getting drunk? I'm trying to relax. How do I relax normally? You know, I'm taking drugs because I want to get out of my mind. Okay, how do I get out of my mind normally without taking other plant medicines and other things? We're just going to fire things up, you know, that we don't need to deal with all the time. You know, we're overcoming PTSD, anxiety, and the things that we have to overcome on a daily basis. how can we just once again detach from these issues and focus on what's important, and then have like that intent at the end of the thing. So I'll speak about Denny. Denny's one of the guys we had on the retreat, and it was when I first started the retreat. It was completely just I was flying by the seat of my pants. I put up $4,000 from the charity to, for people to come for free, because I didn't want people to pay for this, because I didn't think veterans needed to pay for a service that was holistic. I feel like it can fall under the branch of clinical service, under a holistic branch. So guys don't need to pay to come to connect in the brotherhood. Then he came and he had he'd overcome a lot of things. He had, I don't want to speak too much of his own journey, but he had some challenges at the start of the year, which nearly cost him his life. And he was able to come into that retreat, talk about it, share about that issue, and then have a plan to make something better for himself and achieve a goal, which was to get a surf ski and paddle to Cape Horn and Papua New Guinea and through all these trails. So taking his negativity and putting, okay, what have I learned from my negativity? Alchemizing it, his suffering into purpose, and saying, hey, I'm going to go do things for others, because altruism and serving others is the best way to deal with depression. Because we help others, we get out of the self. This is what I learned in the 12-step program for Alcoholics Anonymous that I've been going through. Is altruism heals depression. So the more we can do for others, the less we're stuck on self, the less I'm worried about my depression. When is it going to get better? Focusing on those thoughts once again, then I'm just noise, just shit. We're just recycling shit in our brain. Like think about a recycling truck. It's just picking the rubbish up, moving around, and that's what we're doing inside our mind when we're doing that on a daily basis. Yeah. And what it yields? Shit. So that's the program, bro. That's Coastal Veterans. So we linked up with Terry, and he's doing another project with a documentary into interviewing these guys that are really interesting, that have had bad backgrounds, that have been to jail, that have been hooked on drugs, and how they're changing their life. It's called Behind the Uniforms, the documentary, and we're looking for people that want to get engaged. So, any partnerships that want to come in, or anybody that's listening to this podcast that want to be involved in that, we really need money, and we really need startup to have an alternative method of, we need that 51 million back, bro, to be honest, from DVA, if they could reallocate that or something like that to build humanitarian holistic projects that empower veterans, empower, not victimize. Let's empower these guys, give them their spark back,
Is it just combat veterans? You were talking about the first night is about PTSD. Is it for everybody?
For everybody. So whatever, it's for like Army, Air Force, Navy, but we have civilian guys that are working in. So last time we had five guys, ex-service personnel, so military. There was all three Navy and 2 military guys, and then the rest was the civilian staff, my father, and the meditation crew. But everyone shares. Everyone gets an opportunity to speak their truth, because that's what we do in a men's circle. It doesn't matter. We learn how to work together with civilian. We're learning how to reestablish military brotherhoods, or not military brotherhoods, just brotherhoods in general, that inspire and empower other individuals, because, the statistics, we have 1,600 suicides since the 1980s, with veterans, and a large percentage of that, I think 80 to 90% is males. So the issue is males. So that's what I work with is males at the moment. People have kind of been like, oh, why don't you have this dual sex? I think a lot of guys are learning how to grow up when they get out of the military, and I think it would be risky to have both women and men on a retreat space. It just
change the dynamic.
Change the dynamic, and people less likely to share about their woes,
100%.
Trying to protect themselves so they look strong in front of the feminine presence. That's what I've seen. So
yeah. Tell me about your own journey from after Iraq, and then what drove you to discharge?
Yeah, I think the distance from my daughter, so my ex-partner took my daughter and moved back to where she felt better supported, which is on the Northern Rivers, and then she moved up to Robina and on the Gold Coast, and she was looking for support because I was unable to give it, because I was outfield so much and deployed and, not really around. Yeah, and I had a lot of struggles with dealing with my depression of not being able to see my daughter. I had frequent flyer points that I would spend like 120,000 points just on back and forth flights in the space of a year trying to rekindle a relationship with my daughter. It wasn't working. Going to the military with solutions. Hey, I'd like to move to defense recruiting. I've been working for you guys for 9 years. I just want to end my long service doing something that I actually like that's close to my daughter. Just getting no's because I was qualified in 3 different vehicles. I was worth a lot of money. They're not going to send me. I was an asset, not a human being. I was an asset in their eyes. So that's the nature of it. So I got depressed and suicidal around there. 2019, tried to drive my car off the road. It was just what happened at the time. I didn't have any other solutions and I couldn't figure it out, and I felt like I was left with no other option. So yeah, that's where I got driven to, and I had to go into clinical, and that's why I find it so useful. I was at that stage where I couldn't be helped from any holistic, like nobody could say anything to me. I was just that clinically depressed that I needed medication and I needed to be supported by professionals. Yeah. So that's what happened for 8 weeks. And then I was able to stabilize and come back and rebuild my life as a real estate agent for a period of time working for my mum, and rekindle that relationship, all the while kind of starting and working on these veteran charities. But yeah, it was definitely I had my off days, bro. I was been in a clinic a few times, just learning to gather my thoughts and just gather myself. I just do it now. When I feel like I'm going to drink or use a drug, I'll just put myself away for 3 days and just focus on the clinical, okay, what's going wrong here? I'm able to sit in the clinical space and just be like, I just need to gather my thoughts. What's true here and why am I feeling this way? And I'm usually able to, oh yeah, I get it. Because my daughter's moved farther north, again, my depression's kicking up because I didn't really work on it or talk about it when it happened the first time, and it's happened a second time. So I'm carrying the same depression forward, but I don't need to do that. I can just vocalize and talk about it with my therapist and work through it instead of running from it, which the addiction is. Because if I don't know what it is, I can't identify it. I'm looking for something to numb it because I'm confused. I don't know what it is. So I start drinking. That was the way I dealt with things in the past. Or just take a drug and make that feeling go away. I'll postpone it. Through utilizing the program and the 12 steps. That's what the clinic really gave me this year, was something to have a program of action, which is the 12-step program. And I know a lot of people got, hang-ups about 12-step Alcoholics Anonymous. Oh, God, how depressing in a room talking about drinking, But what it gives you is a program of action to deal with and understand yourself as an individual and the programs and the patterns that you have. And I can't talk highly enough of Alcoholics Anonymous and what I've learned through my ability to not avoid the feelings that I have as a single father, because you can probably contest that being a single father is complex emotionally, and being able to overcome that and not become a workaholic or addicted in patterns that don't serve us. And addiction, it's like a minefield. I think being a single dad's like walking in a minefield sometimes, bro. We've got to take the next step carefully. We've got to think it through,
Yeah, for sure. It's easy to take our frustrations out on the kids and lash out.
And I'm being guilty of that,
Yeah, you have to fucking
sorry, Dad. Sorry for the way he reacted. Like we've got to. As long as you can retract and your children are very forgiving, But we learn those patterns of exploding from the military, and or like just saying things that are kind of a little bit shallow or cold or scathing, which child's is sensitive to. So we
it's fully normal to fucking chastise somebody for doing something dumb,
In the army, What are you doing, dipshit? Deny in your collar,
fucking idiot.
Deny in your collar, you're moron, you haven't shaved. That's like normal. It just kind of slips out. So it's natural for coming from an environment that we're in for such a long time, 7 to 10 years, however long. It's a long time, dude, to have a certain way of thinking, like this is the premium way to think. We're better than everyone else because this is the way we think. And you believe that. You're like, I do have a dominant way of thinking. We've got to be careful with that and move back to the Eastern stuff, Always come back to the East if you're getting a little bit too cocky,
I think especially for someone like you that you joined as a kid, right? Yeah. So that was your whole upbringing, your whole formative years were brought up in that culture.
Yeah, I'm a man now, and I wasn't. Unfortunately, I wasn't. A man's, honest and accountable, and he has a duty and due diligence to look after those falling behind him. So,
yeah, 100%. I've gotten so much better over the last few years. I'm fucking pretty proud of it. But I used to lash out and then I'd fucking reflect on it, and then would take me a while to be able to calm myself and take responsibility. And then the next day I'd be like, I'm really sorry I spoke to you that way. You know, I had no right to. But now I've got to the point where I can actually pick it up before I fucking lash out.
Yeah, I'm like that now too. Which is, I think that's something that's quite powerful of being a single father. You don't have a wife to pull you up, so you got to pull yourself up. You know, so you learn how to be more intrinsically gentle with the words that you're trying to convey. And I think words are so potent in the developing age of a kid's life. Be careful with the weird words we're feeding them. You know.
Yeah, 100%. Make them massive.
What
difference.
happened when I was 17? What was I called? All sorts of names, you know, for my 40 years of development. I was trying to think of some of the words, dipshit, you know. Well, anyway, we've heard them all before. We don't need to repeat them, but, you know, understanding that we don't need to believe that or we don't need to pass that down the family line is such an important thing we can do as fathers, mothers, or any other, you know, formative family members, uncles, aunties, you know, all doing the work together. But
I actually posted a video when I first started the podcast. It was I was sitting here and I had Lulu standing here and I was asking try and finish my sentences. Yeah. Like, you know, why don't you go play in traffic or fucking go and get me the belt or fucking whatever the things were. I'll give you something to cry about.
Yeah. Those ancestral ones, you know.
Yeah.
What are you crying about?
The ones that we all fucking know from our childhood.
Yeah, we heard, yeah.
But, she didn't get any of them.
Oh, that's good, huh? That's well done. You've green flagged your ancestral lineage. You've cleaned up. Well done, bro. That's all we're asked to do, you know, just clean up from the person behind us. We're all doing better than the people that come before us, and that's all we can ask for. I had to do that with my mum, is just kind of accept she did the best she can. You know, stop beating everyone up, because you're beating that's your relationship with yourself. I'm beating myself up, so I'm beating everyone else up. You know, in that Muay Thai ring, everyone's getting teeped. You know, me included. Knocked off my feet, kind of. Yeah, we've got to develop a good relationship with ourselves.
Yeah. Cool, man. Fucking have you got any programs coming up?
Yeah, so we're looking to more funding. We're looking for more funding, but I'm hoping to run one in December around the 15th at this point, just for 2 to 3 days at Yamba. It'll be at the Black Ace Retreat. If you're interested or you would like to be involved in that, please message me on my Coastal Veterans page. You can probably find it through the Grey Man podcast. Like if you go through Harley's friends to locate me, if you know, it's a little bit of a challenging profile to find apparently sometimes, but yeah. Yeah, do your best, and I'm happy to get these programs out to the masses, and I really want this to take off because I know so many people can. You know, people are going to come in with skepticisms and I don't think I should be here isms, you know, but once you sit through it, you're like, you know, it's like anything challenging, you know, it's just fucking challenging because we've got to look at ourselves a bit, you know, don't run from it. Don't run from that. Iron sharpening iron. We're looking for the opportunity to get back in the ring with the boys again and sharpen each other. We're all a bit blunt. When we hang out alone, we get a bit blunt, a bit silly, you know. We're just going for a sharpening, and that's the way it is, you know.
Yeah, that community thing. I was actually talking about this with my psych recently. The jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, all those things, fucking Spartan racing, any of those real hard things, sort of has the same trauma bonding like the military does. Yeah. So we do real hard shit together.
Healthy trauma bonding.
Yeah. Do real hard shit together, and you create a really fucking strong bond. Like you do jiu-jitsu with somebody a few times, or Muay Thai, you spar with somebody a fair bit, and you work hard in those really fucking tough environments, and then you hug it out.
Hug it out, yeah. Like nothing happened, you know.
Yeah.
What happened?
And that eye contact of like
respect.
Fucking, we just did that together, like, and then you fucking. Bro, we should go for a fucking beer.
Creating. We're co-creators, and we're working on something together. So that's why when you see the work and you see everyone kind of chilled at the end of these retreats, you're like, fuck, we did this together. We came in, you know. Boys are coming in depression, or they're coming in with addiction. They have the tools now to go out and kind of deal with it, you know, head on.
Do you find that those that group of dudes is as connected still?
I feel like they need another retreat. I feel like disconnection happens. You know, it's like a fire. You don't fan. Everyone needs a bit of a fanning. I think people, especially with veterans, they go quiet if you don't fan that fire enough. Yeah. So I kind of know when we need retreats because I can see the group chats kind of waning. People kind of just getting quiet.
Going back to their life.
Comms black.
No. Comms dark. You know what fucking. You know what happens when the comms go down.
Yeah, that's right. You know, comms, no bombs, bro.
Cool, man. Fucking Good chat.
Yeah, it was amazing. Thanks for having me. I'll be happy to come on another time, man. I really like your podcast and what you're doing, things, and the way you're serving the community, being a voice for the veterans. We need a voice at the moment, you know. And if anyone's thinking about, should I come on this podcast, just do it. You know, take the chance to reach out to Harley and take that chance to. Everything we give is a gift for the next person coming behind us that they can use as a tool for their toolbox. So make use of your suffering. That's what I would say.
Yeah, 100%. I think the biggest feedback I get is from previous guests and the amount of positive feedback they have from being on the podcast of, you know, not only sharing their story and the people that are close to them feeling closer to them because they know so much about the emotional sort of story behind everything that they've done. But also, like, your story has inspired me to, you know, get help or reach out to other people or do this or do that.
How else would people get that without, you know, you guys doing podcasts like this? It's an amazing opportunity you're giving people, bro. So you should be proud of everything you're achieving in this podcast.
Yeah, thank you, man. Appreciate it.
You're more than welcome.
I love it. Can't stop, won't stop.
No, don't stop.
Cool, man. All right. Cheers, brother.
Cheers. Thanks for having me, bro.
Bye, guys.
Oh.